Okay, it's supposed to be streaming. So let me go back here. Oh, it doesn't say that it's streaming. Oh well. Thought I had it. But it has a check for Facebook and YouTube.
Right.
So I'm guessing it's normally a couple seconds behind for whatever reason. It's almost like they're checking you out to make sure. Yep, it's saying on on YouTube that it's live. So we got
Okay.
one. So we
Okay.
good.
We good.
So back to the funky uncles here. We have
Mm-hmm.
Uncle
Mm-hmm.
Uncle G Russo Gian. You got your
Mm-hmm.
funky Uncle Drew. You know, we're
Right.
always
Right.
around. We might not always be on camera, but we always watching. We're always checking
Mm-hmm.
things out. Okay, it's
Keeping
I can
our
see the
ear
little
to
thing on one.
things on the internet, what's going on currently. You know,
Right.
like you say, it's been a while, but we here.
And
We
what's
here.
going on in
So
life? That's the most
right,
important thing. What's going on
right,
in life? There it goes.
right. There
Share
we
to
go.
my story.
But it's funny you mentioned what's going on in life, man, because right now, if you look at life, it's a
Hmm.
whole lot different, man. You know,
Yeah.
the landscape of things are changing, technology, everything, man. So, as black men, how do we keep up? How do we transcend with the times, so to speak?
We have to curb that thing called ego. Sometimes you have to, it's addition by subtraction. Some things we have to let go. But
Yeah,
the
I
great,
agree. I agree. I agree.
yeah,
Like some behaviors,
yes,
yeah, yeah. Some thought patterns, some
correct.
some outlook on things, you know.
But
So yeah,
how do
I
we know
agree.
which ones to let go and which ones to keep?
That's right. It's so much division within the black community. You know what I mean? It's a lot of
Part of that
division
division,
within.
I think, in my opinion, part of that comes from the mindset that people want a bunch of carbon copies.
How you
There's
mean?
really not as much acceptance to being different, and we grew up in that same type of mentality. Those people that were different, they got cracked on. We got the jokes for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and some people, present company included, were different but still accepted. They still they took the jokes, but they threw the jokes back and let that be what it is. We can't follow these younger cats nowadays who can't take a joke. You can't say anything to them. Next thing you know, there's violence coming out.
Yeah, yeah. But as Gen Xers, man, you know,
Yeah,
we came through a different times. We kind of see things different.
yeah,
So as far as like being Gen Xers now and black men, the world ain't like it was in '89 to '91. You know, when
nowhere
we was
close.
coming out, nowhere close. So what we tell the next up nephews, go to college, go get a trade. I think we should encourage the youngsters to go get a trade, man. I don't unless you're going in a certain field, a university ain't
I
really
have to
gonna
agree
do you
with
much
that.
but get you in debt. You know what I mean? So we
I
got
have
to
to
look
agree
to
with that.
more the skilled labor set, which is good because you can say get a trade as an electrician till you
Right.
20 25.
Yeah.
Shit, by 30, man, you can own your own electrician business, man. You
Right.
know,
Especially,
without
depending on
40.
the area that you live in.
Right,
Because
right.
there are more small towns in this country than
Mm-hmm.
there are big cities.
Yeah. And you
So,
can travel a radius out. You can go 50 miles out, 50
right,
miles back in. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
as a young man, I don't really see the university system benefiting, you know. I mean, if you're a smart young man and that's the route you want to go for it, young.
Right.
But for the average young man, like I got a son, my youngest son, 15.
Yeah.
And, he gonna be an average dude, and I encourage him to go get a trade, man.
Yeah.
He like technology and electronics and shit, so I encourage him that way, you know. So
Uh, uh, Another route that that some
Hmm.
people will not agree with me on. I would say, along with getting a trade, use the military to train you in that trade. Give them 2 years.
Hmm.
What's the
Hmm.
difference between
I
you giving
agree.
them 2 years and them paying you to learn,
Hmm.
and you going to college and you paying them people to
Right.
learn in college?
Yep. That would help some young men. Do
If I'm not
36
mistaken,
months. That's 3 years.
that's how my great uncle paid for his education by going to the military in order to do it. And
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
that's actually a smart way for you to not only
Yeah.
pay for the education, but also build some, some,
Yeah.
what's the word I'm looking for?
Gain some benefits as a young man. Because once you
Well,
go in and do your time, you get a lot of benefits through the VA.
right,
And that
structure
that's what
is
you
the
for
word I'm
life.
looking for.
Yeah, that's what you for life, man. So you go in at 23, 22, 23, you do 3 years, you 26. You get out before you 30,
Yeah.
you got you some good benefits, man. You know?
Go in, take a year off
Uh,
after high school to see if that's what you want. Check out the
mm-hmm.
real world and
Yeah,
see how it is.
yeah,
Go in at
yeah,
19, 20. You might want to
yeah.
put in 6, 7 years and see how it is,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe
Yeah.
gain two trades. So
And
you don't have to just rely
and
on one.
if you like it, stay in there.
That's it.
If you
That's
like
it.
it, stay in. I would encourage any young man, even my own,
Yeah.
because I did about 8 years in the army and it helped me, man. It really did.
Yeah.
Helped me a lot. So,
And being that things are the way they are nowadays
mm-hmm.
without structure, it's good for a lot of our young men to see how structure is, which could carry
Right,
on in their lives as they got older, got married, had kids, this, that, and the other. They can see the benefits of having
but
structure as opposed to, what else is going on around them.
right, right. But there's one caveat I ought to mention
Hmm.
that may discourage some
Yeah,
is the situation going on in overseas and
yeah,
Palestine or whatever. We on the
yeah,
brink of, we could be on the brink of World War III, and that may discourage some young men at,
yeah,
real time. So,
yeah, yeah. I get
but
that. I mean,
yeah,
that happened when we were
so
coming out of high school. They had was that
right,
Desert
right.
Storm.
It
They talking about the
was. It did.
draft
Yeah,
and all this stuff. I'm
yeah.
not going over there. I don't know them people. I was like
Me
Muhammad
either,
Ali.
man.
They ain't never said nothing to
For
me.
real.
That
They're
was
gonna
my
have to lock
thing.
me up.
Right. Matter of fact, I didn't even sign
They're
up
gonna
for
have to lock
social
me up.
services on my
You
birthday.
didn't?
No, I didn't sign up because them mothers had
Dang.
a warrant out for me.
I'm about to say that's a felony, bro.
Right.
That is a felony.
I didn't know. When you don't
Yeah.
know, you don't know. I didn't sign up. Nobody was pressing me to do it because I was still 17 when I graduated high school. My 18th birthday didn't come for a few months. So nobody really said, make sure you sign up for selective service. Everybody's like, okay,
Right.
yeah, you graduated. Enjoy your summer. And that's what I did.
Yeah. I didn't know you had to do that shit back then until I went to the post office or somewhere.
Hmm.
Yeah, I found out. Other than that, we weren't privy to information like that.
Right.
Back then, nah. If it wasn't in the library on channel 5, 2, 4, 5, we didn't know.
Right. If Charlie Hall or Warren Pepper wasn't telling us,
Right.
we didn't.
We didn't know, man. We did not know. So yeah, I get it, man. Mhm.
So that is an advantage that of today of social media, as we were talking about
Mhm.
advantages, basically advantages and disadvantages of
Right.
today's generations. Was it Gen Y, Gen Z, and
Gen
whatever
Z,
comes after that.
Gen Alpha. Yeah.
So these guys, these youngsters, they're
Mhm.
going to be uh, heavily influenced by others, but that really
Already
takes away from
happening.
them finding out who they are. They'll be heavily educated in a lot of things. But as we said
Right.
before, we're going to be heavy in education, but lacking in respect and structure.
Mhm. Yeah. 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 You're
So
on
this
that.
it's the give and take. Is gaining that what we're gaining, is it worth losing what we're losing? That's the question.
to to combat that, all I can encourage people to do, man, is teach your own, teach your loved ones what you know. I mean, you can't depend on society, or school, or any institution. You have to do it and encourage them to do their own research. That's the way we learn. Because I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. I've learned more off of YouTube in the last 7 years than I ever did in school.
Yeah,
Ever, man. Ever. In high school, middle school, YouTube has been, man, it's unbelievable. It's the information that's been hidden from
but
us.
here's what's crazy.
Mm,
YouTube is actually doing what we did at one time. One person showing multiple people how to do something. And those that wanted to do it carried that on. Those that didn't want to do it,
hmm
they found somebody else teaching something. You know,
Right.
we had our uncles, we had our aunts, we had
Yeah.
our older cousins, we had Mr.
hmm
Mr. Mr. Brown from up the street that may
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
you know, it was always there was always somebody that was willing to show a youth, or didn't have to be, didn't matter how young they were, but someone younger how to do something. So now that's the same
Yeah.
thing. The only thing is now it's the older people that are learning as well, those that are willing to learn.
But here's the thing. We were willing to listen. A lot of these young cats, they ain't willing to listen like we did.
That
You
goes to the
know.
respect. That goes to this. That goes back to the level of respect that I
Also,
was talking about.
true, and also it goes to being privy to information so early
Hmm.
that, you know, they know it already, so they're not listening to anything else. So, you know, they're not really taking in they don't value the prior generation experience. We used to. We valued our
Respect.
parents and grandparents. Yes,
It goes back to,
the
once again. It goes
experience.
back
Yeah,
to respect, and
right.
and see, we weren't privy to a lot of things because the older generation, whether they knew it or whether they just carried it on, I think they understood that at a certain age, your mind is not going to fully under. You can understand something, but you don't know what's going on, or you can know what's going on but don't understand it. Either way that you
Yeah,
look at it, that makes sense. Because
right. And back then, we were told to stay in a child's place. We didn't, you
exactly,
know,
let us
we
do
didn't
the
get
child
involved.
things, because these adult
Right.
things, you're not going to understand the consequences behind it a lot of times.
hmm
Because everything you do is going to come with some type of consequence, be it good or bad.
Yeah.
And when you
Yeah.
step out of
There's an
line,
outcome.
uh, most times it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and
If you're
once
out there
again,
in
that
this,
we got to
yeah.
be in the household and at some point, or in some way, shape, form, or fashion, to help them understand.
hmm
As men, leading by logic, by the experiences that we had, because
hmm
we are not going to always have the same experiences as women. Even though we're still
No.
talking about
Two different
black
worlds, man.
beautiful, right? We're still talking about beautiful folks, but at the same time, you know, that DWB, it hits harder with us than it does with them. You
Right.
understand? We're seen as a threat. As Dave Chappelle said, I could jump out of the pool butt naked and tell them I have a gun and they'll believe it,
You said it's
because we're just
DWB.
naturally seen.
You gotta school me on that
You never saw that stand up? Dave Chappelle said, you know, being black, it just means that they think you're dangerous. He said, I could get out of a pool butt naked and say that I have a gun, and they're going to believe that I have a gun. I'm like, hold up, it may be true. It may be in his butt,
one.
you
Yeah.
know?
He ain't lying. He ain't lying.
Right. So
He is
these are the
not
type of
lying.
things that once we explain it, to whether we're explaining it either to the young ladies or the young men, it gives them a sense of awareness to understand the other. The young women then begin to understand the plight of the man, the young man, as he's going to grow up. They can say, you know what, when I was 8, my father told me about something like this happening. So instead of me saying, oh, Negro, it's just yada yada yada, it's like, oh shoot, you know, if my dad said it, maybe my dad went through it. So you went through something my dad went through. So instead of brushing it off, it's more of a level of compassion and a
Yeah,
level of
and
leadership for the young men to understand that you're supposed to be a certain way. You're supposed to carry yourself a certain way.
hmm hmm yeah, I
And that's
admit
what.
our young men need some guidance, man. You know,
Yeah.
'cause I got a 15-year-old son, and I got to guide him. And but I don't know. But hey, switching gears for a minute, man. I don't mean to get off
Hmm.
topic, but the hip hop doc, man. Think we can get him back on soon? I want to hear his thoughts on what's going on now as far as the election and
Oh, you
different
mean Spec?
policies. Yeah, yeah, hip hop. I
Yeah, I
call him
can
the hip
I can
hop
reach
doc.
out to it. I can reach out to Spec and see what's going on. I
Hip
know some
hop
other
doc,
cats,
man.
like comedians and stuff. I like, when we get on
Trey,
subjects like this. Yeah, Trey. See if we can get Tony on. Get them to wear their funky uncle hats when they come on. This guy, if anybody is on, when you watch this, if you check out Ballhead Phillips, I know Josh follows him now. Ballhead is a nut job. Ballhead is a true nut job, but he's just so funny. So
right.
and
Yeah, man.
I even know some women comedians,
Oh
and
yeah.
but I mean, I just want to have. I think it would be good to have a variety of people who have different careers to get
Yeah.
together, and we can discuss it to see, because we know what we know from our area, our influences, and our building blocks, and what we're doing now. But somebody else that lives in a different area can inform us to things, and that's one thing I do see on a lot of lives. People say, "Oh, well,
Mm-hmm.
people don't do this and people don't do that." Well, maybe that's just in your area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about this country, we're not talking about just your area.
Right. Right. Talking on a macro level.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And if you think that, and I hate to say it like this, but a lot of times it's the stereotypical New Yorkers. Not all New Yorkers, it's the stereotypical New Yorkers
I
who
know what
think
you
that,
mean.
right, they think that what happens
I know what you
there
mean.
is
Yeah.
everybody just
Yeah.
follows them and everybody is just
Right.
like them. And maybe it
Man.
was like that at one time, but especially
True.
when it came to
But
the hip hop culture changing, and the
mm-hmm.
West Coast having an influence, the Midwest having an influence,
Right.
the South having an influence, people gained their own identity,
Mm-hmm.
in their
Yeah.
area. They didn't feel like they had to follow another area. We have our own
Right.
area. I'm gonna follow what's going on in my area, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe try
Mm-hmm.
to start trends in my own area, as opposed to
Right.
following something that we really don't understand. Because a lot of people that were following New York trends never been to New York,
Right. It was
so
just
they.
trend, like you say, a trendy,
Right,
at
what you
the
see on a
time.
video, on a movie, or
Right.
something like that, and I remember, and as a teenager, like, oh, that must be what they do in New York, and I'm like, nah, that's not how
Mm-hmm.
they are in New York. That
Mm-hmm.
everybody don't
Mm-hmm.
walk around with fur coats and what I'm saying, and valleys and stuff
Right.
like that. Nah, so it's an
I mean,
understanding.
for that time though, that was the culture.
Yeah,
Breakdancing, hip hop,
right.
that was our culture, that time. And, I remember, man, I tell a lot of people, man, like, yo, the 80s was the golden era.
Yeah.
If you grew up in the 80s, that was the shit. It's hard to explain, but you just had to be there. Yeah,
I see we got a
yeah.
couple other people watching. What I can do is I can put the link on here, and anybody wants to come up.
Hmm.
Let me see if I believe I can do it like this. But yeah, the change in time, sometimes it's not as easy to accept the
Change
change
is
in
never easy.
times,
Change
because
is never easy.
change is never easy, but it's
Mhm.
also, a lot of people think every change is progress.
To some degree, yeah.
Yeah, but not all change is progress.
Explain. How
There's
you
lots of
mean? Like,
just because. Okay, let's see, cars now are faster, but they're not as safe. Warming up your food
but
is
it,
faster, but not as safe. Eating food nowadays is more accessible, but not as safe. So is it really progress?
but who's to say food has ever been safe? Who's to say
Um,
that cars has ever been safe? I mean, you're taking
but it
chances.
say it not as safe. I didn't say it was
Right.
safe. I said not as safe. So you mean to tell me you would trust food coming from somewhere else as opposed to your own food? I would trust my own food. I would consider that safe. If I grew my own food, yeah, I'm considering that
Yeah,
safe.
yeah, you would consider that safe, but being that
Yeah.
I don't grow my own food, I don't, I gotta think that it's safe. I mean, do you,
Or if you're
do
getting
you,
it from a local
do you,
market,
right? Do you have a farm?
right? That's the whole.
Okay, so
But see,
you
here's the
gotta
thing:
trust it. You just gotta trust it.
the
You know?
farms that they had, let's say in the 50s and 60s, were local.
Yeah,
And if you
agriculture was big back then. Yeah.
right, so the farther back
Mhm.
you go, the fresher your fruit and vegetables were, the fresher your meats
Right.
were.
Yeah, and technology, that's due to technology coming up with
Right,
different pesticides and sprays and different
right.
growth. And
That
whenever I see a fruit without seeds, I don't eat it, bro.
it's hard to
You know,
trust it. It's
yeah, I
definitely
don't
hard
eat
to trust it. And
it. I don't.
what I went back to the 40s because I thought about the 60s where they had the malathion.
The what now?
The malathion was a pesticide,
Hmm.
and it got into the water supply. A lot of the people's water supply for around the areas of the farms, and it was
Hmm.
causing all types of problems.
Yeah.
They had to get rid of the malathion. If you find a bottle of malathion right now, that joke is about 50, 60 years old because they stopped making it.
I'm about to say that's probably some old shit.
Yeah.
Malathion.
Yeah, it's another one. It's another one that was with malathion as well. I can't remember the name of it, but
Hmm.
but it's in a song, one of the rock songs from the 80s. But anyway,
Yeah,
but as they're saying,
gotcha.
not all everything new is better. It's not 100% better because the
No,
easier you
not
make it,
all, not
right? That's what
all,
I'm
but
saying. Yeah,
most things are better.
yeah, yeah,
Technology and time. Yeah,
yeah. But to
not
what
wrong.
degree? Are we once again adding by subtraction, or are we subtracting by adding?
We're adding by subtraction because from the Walkman to where we are now, there's been a lot of addition. There's
That's
been a
one.
lot of
Yeah,
addition,
yeah,
and it has become part of our lifestyle because
right,
there's no way you would not have a phone right now, and a
right.
computer is like having a phone.
Okay,
Every
well, the phone
every
is a
house,
computer. Yeah, they used to
right.
call it a pocket
So
PC.
yeah, so things in that regard, but I
Here's
get
one
what you're
thing.
saying though. Hmm?
Here's one thing that's going back: electric
What's that?
bikes, bruh. An electric
Electric
bike.
bike.
Come on, man. You sitting there
Electric
laughing?
bike.
I'm
Ah.
serious. Listen, can you imagine as a kid you want to get in a race with somebody and you have an electric bike? You're losing every time, bruh.
You think so? They go pretty fast, bro. They can go faster than most kids can pedal.
Yeah, but that's after a
you
build
know.
up. That's after a build up or going downhill.
Yeah,
You know what
electric
I'm
bikes,
saying?
man. I be seeing them, man. It's
Come
it's
on,
it's
man.
kind of cool looking,
Yeah, yeah, but the exercise that, especially as
Right.
a kid, is bad enough. A lot of them don't want to go outside.
Right. I don't even see kids on bikes no more.
Okay, so once again,
Hardly.
as the progress is that really progress?
In regards to kids riding bikes or
And in
kids
regard,
playing.
right, and in regards to one, kids getting exercise, two, kids getting social skills.
Oh no, that's diminished
That's a
greatly,
regress,
especially in the
right?
black. Right, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So
Yeah, in that
it's a
regard,
give and
yeah.
take, right? And
Hmm.
it's even gone as far as men and women because I'm sitting there watching. on these shows, and it's how can women say they're not being approached? And
Mhm.
I know
They're
for a
not.
fact they are being approached. But they use the same
They
formula that
don't.
they
They don't
they
want
don't
them though. They
they
don't want
don't count the ones that they don't
them.
want. But that's not
They
meaning you're
don't.
not being approached.
Yeah. By
That's like
there, by if you let them tell it, yeah. But
right,
we know. We know.
right. But at the same
Yeah.
time, a lot of people in general don't have the social skills.
No.
The
No.
the the social media babies don't have the social
No.
skills. A lot
At
of them. I
all.
won't say majority. They don't have it.
They don't. They don't,
Yeah,
man. They don't have the work ethic.
they don't. Right, the work ethic, the perseverance. You know.
They can't. They can't go through nothing, man. You
Look,
know.
I had a chick walk off the job. She wasn't even there 2 hours.
Damn. 2 hours, bro.
She wasn't there 2 hours. She was supposed to be there at 11. She got there after 11.
Hmm.
You know, I show her how to to run the reports, what have you. I said, now all we got to do is chill till 3 o'clock. When we run the next set of reports, you can mop, you can do this, that, and third if you want something to do. If not, you can sit over there on the phone because this is third shift. Okay.
Right. Right.
I get up, go smoke me a cigarette. I go when I look, I don't see her. I said, maybe she's outside. I go outside. No, she's not outside smoking a cigarette. I look around, maybe she's in the bathroom. After a while, I don't see her. I don't see her. And I go back in the office. I chill. After a while, I say, yo, let me see what's going on here. I go and roll the tape back. This chick left at 12:48. She creeped on by the office, looked to see if she could see me, and creeped on out. Wasn't even there two
Uh,
hours.
damn. Wow. Well, I don't want nobody that don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm saying you're telling me that you're sitting there on your phone doing nothing, probably the same thing you
Hmm.
would be doing at the house.
Right. Right.
It's not like
I
you live in a
agree.
big city. You live in
Mm-mm.
Walterboro. Well, was there an after hours spot that I don't know about or
For
something?
real. Something else, something I'm missing. What's going
Right. I think it was like a Monday or Tuesday night or something like that.
on?
So it wasn't
Slow
even like it was
Tuesday.
the weekend
Right. Yeah,
that
they
you had to
just
get to. Oh, come on, man.
don't have that work ethic in them. Yeah.
Psh,
Mm-mm. No, they
crazy.
see things totally different. But like I tell my son, it still takes what it takes. You want to be successful, it still takes what it takes. You got
Right.
to put in the work. Yeah, I know things change, but it still takes what it takes, son. It ain't no shortcuts. Still ain't
And
no shortcuts. Nah,
but
not
that's
if you
the
want to make
thing
it.
now. That's the thing now. There's always some type of shortcut, and everybody believes that that's the way because the process
Mm-mm.
they don't understand. And I keep saying everybody. I should say lots of people. They don't understand that
Mm.
the process is what makes everything worthwhile. Once you go through the
Yeah,
process and you understand the different levels of things, it makes you better.
yeah, it does, and we see it that way. But we talking about the younger generation. Like
Right.
they ain't really, they don't have that thought process and experience to put that to process that like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We can process it like that because we've been through some shit. We in our 50s, know what it is from a different world. But for them, a lot of like my son, he ever since he been born, computers been here, so he don't know a
Yeah.
world without it.
Yeah.
And sometimes he tend to. I tell him to get in touch with the real world, man. That virtual world is not it. You got to know what's going on in real time so you can
Yeah.
function out here.
Right.
You can't function in the virtual world out here. That ain't how it works. Nah, you got things messed up, bro. You gonna be way behind, dog.
that,
So I
that's
had to
part of the
kind of get him
discord.
out of that. Right, it is. It is. It is.
Yeah.
And I get it to a degree, I do, but I just try to encourage him to stay in the real world as well as you can still do both.
Right.
You can still do both.
What
You
do I always
can.
say? Balance.
There you go. There you go, man. Balance, man. So once he can learn to channel that the right way, I think he'll be all
Ha-
right. He
has
good.
to be enforced in the house.
Yeah, it has to be. Unfortunately, I'm not there on a full time basis, so
Yeah,
you know. And
but
but hey, I make
your
sure I
word
stay
though, your word should still be
on
gold.
top. Yeah,
If you
you
tell
damn
him,
right.
yo, can you do this for me? And he
You
says yes,
damn
so
right.
you got to say, look, does your word mean anything? You show me that your word means something.
Yeah, he got to hold up his end of the deal, man. I tell him all
Yeah,
the time. You got to hold up
yeah,
your end of the deal.
yeah.
That's how it works over here.
He kind of reminds me of me a little bit. Nephew
Yeah.
reminds me of me, yeah, because he he wants to do. He'll do his own thing. He's not where
Hmm.
he really has to follow the crowd,
No, he used to, and I
right?
had
But
to get him out of that.
when I met
Yeah,
him, I could look at him and tell, yeah, you like to do your own thing, don't you? You don't
yeah,
have to be
he
around
do.
a whole bunch of people and this that and get their ad. You can have two or three friends and be just as happy as you want to be.
Yeah, and he had to learn to get there because as a freshman in high school, you look to be accepted by your peers, and
Right.
he wanted to be. So he had trouble fitting in and figuring
Hmm.
out what was what. So last year was kind of troublesome for him, man. But, you're absolutely right. He like to do his own thing, man. He's an individual, but
Right.
he's such a different individual. He feels awkward. He don't want to embrace it. I told him you got to embrace that, man. That's you. It's
Hey,
okay.
tell him to talk to his uncle. Lord knows I've been through
You see what I'm saying?
it.
Yeah, you embrace that part of you, man. It's okay. That's the value that you bring because you're different.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
okay, man.
It's the different people that make things happen.
Thinking
Mm,
outside the box, and
that's it.
you know,
That's
yeah.
it. Got what's my man named Jatwan, the guy I
Hmm.
met at work that writes his own children's books and stuff. He's 20 something years old.
Hmm.
He
Hmm.
does all the drawing and everything himself.
Right.
Man, I don't know if you checked him out on IG. He he's moving forward. He's moving forward. He's not being stagnant with it. He's doing his own
Right.
thing. I don't know too
That's good.
many. I don't. I don't think I know any other people in their early 20s, early to mid 20s that's doing that.
Hmm. Right. And he's a young cat that get it.
Right.
Some young cats get it, man. You know.
Right. Yeah.
Because one time back, I believed the narrative. Oh, all these young people on drugs. Some young, I was like
Yup.
a grumpy old man. But
Right.
a lot of these young brothers get it, man, and you know they got to be they got to be commended for that. You know,
Most definitely. That's why I said
right?
we
They
got
got to
to
be.
highlight, show everybody.
Hmm.
There's always going to be a narrative, especially when it comes against the black man. There's always going to be a
Right,
negative
right,
narrative that they're going
right.
to push so much that
Hmm.
they're going to make it believable.
Right, especially with that lamestream media. Notice I said lamestream
Exactly.
media. Man, I
Exactly.
encourage anybody that's listening to this, man. Do not listen to CNN. Do not listen to MSNBC. Leave those leave those media outlets like that alone. Do your own research. Go to YouTube. There's a lot of information on YouTube, and it's grassroots. Nobody's nobody's sponsoring money. Nobody's linked to no corporation. It's all grassroots, man. And I think that's where black people need to go. Grassroots, bro.
And along with that, I would say use your eyes
Yeah,
because
yeah,
a lot of the
yeah.
things that they like say, all this, all that. If you find out of 25, if you find eight or nine that aren't, then the all narrative doesn't fit.
Right. Nothing. It doesn't fit anything because
Right.
nothing's absolute.
Exactly.
So there's that error of margin there. Even in counting votes, you see error of margin. So yeah. So nothing's absolute. Nothing's. Yeah. So it's interesting times, man. Very interesting times.
and,
But
and like I've said on many occasions, whenever you see these so-called polls or whatever, and they tell you 45% of people like this 48% and 52. Always ask yourself, was I included? Did they ask me?
Right. I don't never get asked questions about these polls, man. You
Right.
know,
How am I including something that I wasn't even asked about? Who did you
man,
ask? What closed
exactly.
knit group did you ask to get your
Right.
percentages?
Right. I wonder that too, but for a long time now, I haven't really. I watch polls, but I don't really put a lot of stock in them because I know how they operate. You know,
Right.
certain poll like the Pew Research
Hmm.
poll. I listen to them pretty good. They thorough. And John Hopkins polls and shit like that.
Right. Yeah. No,
You know,
no, when they say
you know,
something, yeah, when they say something like
yeah,
a certain amount of cancer patients use,
right,
this, that. Yeah, I can see that because
right,
they're monitoring the cancer patients that
hmm
they're serving. But when they say what 52% of Americans think that Trump is, hold up, you didn't ask me. And I'm gonna ask about 10 people that I know, and I guarantee you, each one of them going to say no as well. So I really can't roll with
yes,
your
that's wild,
perception of things because that's more of an influence thing other than informant.
right? That's a brainwashing and social engineering and all that shit, man. They want you to agree with their narratives. 'Cause that's all it is, it's a narrative, you know. So I try not to indulge in narratives too much. I like to find facts, man. That's fine.
Right.
Yeah, I like to deal with facts. You can have an opinion, but opinions can be based in facts too. You know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's your observation. And a lot
hmm
of times, I like to think that we may be swayed to go one way, but the more information that we get, we might change our opinion on something. I don't
Yeah.
believe in being just so straightforward with something that no matter what you hear, because that's going to send you over the cliff. There's nothing wrong with standing on your own, but the more truth, the more information, true information that you get, it should lead you to a way to even at some point of things second guess it, your
hmm
your stance on things. But there are
Yeah.
just lots of people that say once I feel a certain way, I feel that way, and I mean that to me that's not a mature way to handle things.
It's not. And you know what kills me? Adding on to that.
Yeah,
Well, this is my story, my truth. You know the thing about my truth is when people say this is my truth,
yeah,
you can't hold them accountable for anything.
yeah.
You can't prove them wrong on anything because anything you come up with that they say they can debunk. Well, this is my truth. They didn't have me. This is my. Come on. There's still
To a
general
point,
knowledge of things
to a
to say.
point, to a point,
It
because
is.
most times when they do that, at some point they're going to generalize something. They're going to generalize something.
You have to get a point across.
Right. But if it's
Yeah.
your truth, you have to keep it just at you.
Yeah. It's
You have to keep it
anecdotal,
just at you. Yeah.
and there are
You go to
exceptions to every rule, but the exceptions don't prove
everyone.
the rule.
Right.
You know.
Right. And so we have like the male and female dynamic, the men and women who are always butting heads, and we say all men ain't
Competing.
nothing. All men, ain't this. All men ain't that. Have you met all men? That's my truth. All men know. Let's word
When
it
you hear that,
properly.
you know it's some narrow mindedness behind that. You know.
Right. So a lot of times it does come with the wording, and that's why a lot of people will get these debates, and they'll get all these arrows being thrown at them because of the wording. They don't take the
hmm
time to realize that how you presented it can easily be shot down. So those people that
hmm
take the time to say, you know what, that I've experienced, boom,
hmm
all the whatever that I've experienced, all the dogs that I've experienced in my life have been nice.
hmm
So you
hmm
can't tell, oh yeah, but I ran into one, but I didn't run into that one. So what
Right.
I said still holds to be true. So we can move on. We don't have to sit here and just keep rehashing the same comments
hmm
over and over
No,
and over.
I hate it. Right. I hate a circular conversation,
Right.
man. I refuse. A circular conversation accomplishes nothing.
Nothing but wasting time.
That's it.
There could be so many other things that we can really, you might have some information that I need or would like to have,
Right.
but
Right.
I can't get it because you're so stuck on something that verbally isn't true.
I got to
It may
start
be
writing.
true, huh?
Right. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
You see, you got to start writing.
Right. No, no, no. You say it may be true that what now?
It might not be verbally true. The way you
Hmm.
said it, the way you presented it is just set to be shot full of holes.
Yeah, can be. Can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Uh, Not everybody wants to look at it that way. We have many who just
No.
really want to be seen. As I was telling my nephews the other day, have Jam and his
Uh-huh.
all his friends, all of my nephews. When they see me now, what's up, Unc? I
Hmm.
tell them stay off that new drug. They said a new drug, yeah, attention.
Yeah.
That new drug is killing.
Yeah. Hmm.
That new drug is doing
Yeah.
people dirty.
Yeah.
Because they are doing whatever they can. You got these crazy people on social media flashing money. You have
Hmm.
them, saying the craziest things
They
about
still doing
elite.
that?
Still doing it. Listen, the
Oh.
attention. It's a drug. What's the definition for a drug? Something that's mind altering or whatever, whatever. That's
Hmm.
what it is nowadays. You have the
Wow.
women out here that wants to make themselves look real slutty,
Mm. Oh yeah.
or manly,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
you do have some that keep their mind. So I'm not saying that that's the only two categories for women, but you have to look at the entire
Right.
spectrum.
The
You know
collective. You have to
exactly
look at the
everything
collective.
that's out there. We don't want to overlook the ones that aren't doing it, but we do want to mention the ones that are doing whatever, so that we know
Hmm.
that there is not just one type of person out there. So we doing that with the men and the women. We know that they're the simps. We know that they're the panderers. We know that we have guys who really don't know how to talk to women. We have guys who, and that goes in two different directions. They're not really knowing how to talk to them, whether they don't know what to say or they say the wrong thing.
Right. Right.
You know,
The
they're,
environment now is crazy though. You know,
yeah.
it really is, and the vibe I get from it that not a lot of guys approach women like they used to. Now I could be wrong, but that's just the sense I get from what I see.
Oh,
And
I think a lot of
huh?
them do it virtually. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
more women, a lot of women get more approached virtually because
Mm-hmm.
you'll
They
see them
do.
post and stay out of my inbox, stay out of my inbox.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then some of the
Mm-hmm.
things that they receive in their inbox, I can understand why.
Yeah, yeah. But it's so many options now. You know,
Yeah,
it's one time back you were limited to your area where you live. Now it's global,
right.
man. So the options are limitless, and just that's
If you
now we here. So you
if
know,
you're willing to take that trip, you're not just
yeah,
limited to where you live.
yeah, right, right, and it's easy. You know,
Yeah,
it's not that hard. It's not that hard. So that's just where we at. You know, yeah, yeah,
for
and
better or for worse.
yeah,
Each
hmm,
situation will be determined by what goes
right,
on. We can't
right,
say that it's good. We can't say that it's bad.
right.
It's good. It all boils down to the people involved.
Yeah, because nothing's traditional anymore. If you look
Right.
at it in the grand scheme of things, there's really nothing traditional in most aspects of life. You know,
That's true.
yeah, it's crazy. So We Gen X, man. We can adjust. We've been through things
Yeah,
before. This ain't our
yeah.
first rodeo. You know?
We've had to
Mhm.
adjust already from the the life that we were brought up
Hmm.
with, and just to go on and do our own things and lead the charge, and as I
Hmm.
said in one of my TikToks, we have to we have to really admit that some of these things that are going on are the result of where we led things to be.
Right. I agree. I won't disagree with that, brother. You are absolutely
Whether we
right.
started it or whether we carried the torch
Right.
until it got
I
here,
absolutely agree.
it didn't stop with us. Which
Mhm.
I guess we didn't have the foresight or we didn't have the guidance.
Right.
One of the two,
Both.
if not, yeah, depending
Yeah.
on the person.
Both. Yeah.
Maybe
Both.
both.
Yeah.
We are not
They did
blameless.
they did call Generation X the lost generation. Now. That's what
Yeah,
they did. Yeah. They did give us
and,
that name.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
and I guess we didn't have the foresight really to understand because we were where they are now, feeling invincible, feeling like we know it all. It's you can't tell me anything about XYZ. I don't care as much about the past because I am not linked to the past
Right.
as
And it's a
much.
totally different world than the past. So it's
Right,
hard to relate. It's not relatable really.
right. When
But
you don't have
think
the
about
links.
right. But think about this. Generation X is the first generation after the sexual revolution and the civil rights generation.
Right,
We are the first ones after both of them.
right.
And you expect us to be come on now.
Yeah,
Look what our predecessors were doing and how we
right.
got here. The
Right.
sexual revolution and civil rights movement, and we're the fruit from that.
Right. They
Come
expect
on,
us to do
bro.
that in our youth. No, no.
Nah,
It's hard. I mean, oh man,
come on,
there
man.
you're gonna have a few, but when I say
We
a
were,
few, I mean the percentage had to be small,
yeah, yeah. It is
very small.
very small. We're the smallest generation, Generation X. We're the
Yeah.
smallest. Yeah, out of out of the
Mm,
out of the silent generation, the boomers,
mm-hmm.
Generation X, millennials, Gen Z, all that. We the smallest. We have the least. We the toughest now. I think we're the toughest.
Oh
I
man,
think so because we've been through some shit, boy. When you look
I don't
back
know
on it,
those that are two generations before us.
the silent
Uh,
generation.
yeah, I have to go
Yeah,
with them. I have to go with them because they put up with so much mentally and physically.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
But I think
know,
we tougher though. I think we just as tough though. I do.
I just
But I
don't
know what
see
you're
a
saying.
lot
Yeah,
of
that
Gen
silent
Xers
generation.
going through the.
Huh?
I don't see a lot of I don't see a lot of Gen Xers being able to withstand segregation and all. I just don't see a lot of us being. I can see some of us, but a lot of us,
Shit, we were doing better back then with segregation.
right? You,
Yeah.
yeah, but you always had to have those dealings, and I know a lot of Gen Xers that can't hold their tongue. I
Oh no,
remember it
we
in
ain't doing that
class,
now.
right?
We ain't doing
And
that.
and that would have been
Now
the end of you.
that's one thing Generation X known for. We'll chop that ass now. We ain't gonna
Yeah,
bullshit. That's just
I'm
what we
talking.
known for.
You remember we were in class and the teacher
Uh-huh.
is teaching, and there's always two or three people. The teacher tell you to be quiet. They just can't stop talking. They ain't even hear the teacher.
Yeah. There's always some of them, man. Always some of them, boy.
I was not one of them.
No,
Cause my
hell no.
mama was not playing that. That
No,
note get
hell
home. It's a wrap.
no. You damn man. My pops wasn't playing that. She let my man come. I don't feel like dealing with that dude. Hell no. Stay my ass in line, doc. Mm-mm. Yeah. Hey man, man, I'm gonna have to power down and get up early in the morning, bro.
yeah. It's about that time. We've been on for a little while. Nice little
Yeah, it's
comeback
almost an
for us.
hour. Yeah, we did about an hour. I think that's a good warm up. I feel good.
Yeah.
You know.
So
Mhm.
next
But
time, we have some more people. Like, for anybody
right.
that watched it this far, just know that this was
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
impromptu. We wanted
Yes.
to get back
Yes.
on and just chop it
Mhm.
up a little bit. Just the two of
Yeah.
us jumped on. Other people were
Mhm.
invited, but it was so
Hey
last
man.
minute that But hey,
Yeah, we
you know how
just
the Funky Uncles do. It's gonna be more people next time. We're gonna invite some people, see
absolutely,
what everybody wants to
absolutely.
do.
This week, later on this week,
Later on this week, we
even if
gonna push
even
for
if we
that.
just do a good hour, bro. If we can do a good
Right.
hour, that'll be good, man.
Yeah, just have a good time chopping it up about
Yeah,
life, and we might throw some topics out
thing.
of there. You never know what comes up in the
Yeah,
conversation.
because I'm gonna start writing down these questions that be popping up in my head,
Yeah.
and just have topic discussion questions, and everybody can chime in. You know, there's no right or wrong answer. We just want to know your thoughts and your perspectives. Now, you may get some pushback
Right,
because
just about to say.
you may get some pushback. So don't be
Don't be
don't act like
scared.
that's out of right. So
Because if that's how
but
if that's how
yeah,
if that's how you really feel about it, that's how you really feel
yeah,
about it.
stand on it, stand
Stand
on it,
on it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hey, and
stand on
when you get your instead of getting the little pieces of paper, put that notebook on your phone. That way you'll always
it.
have it. You gotta, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? That
yeah,
that's that's even
absolutely.
better than the paper because I'm telling you, you'll be like, where did I put those paper? Where did I put that? You always gonna wind up looking for something, but
Man,
that
I got a
phone's gonna be
huge.
right there.
You're right, and I got to learn to do that. But for now, I got a huge notebook with all kind of questions in it, man.
Man,
So
transfer them things to your phone to that. There's a notepad thing on
yeah,
there. I,
I'll
I
work
got
on that, Doc.
poetry on that mug from years back. Years,
I'll work
10
on it,
years
man.
ago.
Because me and technology still, catching up in some ways. So
Man, we gonna
yeah,
find it though. We gonna do it.
yeah, definitely. We gonna build this plane while we fly, brother.
No doubt.
Man, absolutely, man. But what's your final thoughts, man? We can wrap this on up, dog.
Oh man, listen, this my final thoughts is hey, life ain't over yet. Make things happen. Not just for you, but for as many people as possible, man. Make your carbon footprint as strong as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm gonna leave him with this, man. Feels good to get back on, chop it up with you, brother. I look forward
Same
to
here.
some more episodes coming up, and we're gonna work on the sports side of things. But
Yeah.
hey, it's an election year. I just encourage everybody to be informed voters. Don't
Right.
just vote through identity politics. That's not going to work. That didn't work on Obama. In 2008, identity politics don't work. Find out what the candidates' policies are and go from there.
Right.
Either Trump or Kamala. I ain't telling you who to vote for. Just compare the policies and where you stand in life and vote your interests.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it with that, brother.
Be informed, not influenced.
There you go. There you go. There you go. So, on that note, I'm going to say good night. Peace to everybody and funky uncles. And we out, man.
We out.
We out. Peace.